I don't do none of that. But I've had something heavy on my heart the past, I say, week. And I was talking to some friends today who were going through it. And I was just kind of, just offering some advice. And in offering them advice, I started to cry. Hearing them fuss with each other, knowing I know how much they love each other, was a trigger for me, because I can't argue with my sweetheart anymore because he's not here. And so last year when I lost John, my fiance, and I lost my little brother Kareem 2 months after that, that has a way of humbling you. Grief has a way of waking you up. And for some reason, my experiences with both of them prior to their deaths has just really been sitting heavy on my heart. The suffering that I have gone through these past 10 months has been, it's been humbling, and I found some gratitude from it, and I just feel like I should share. John was visiting his parents in South Carolina for about a month. And as we always did, we talked on the phone still all the time, constantly on the phone for hours. That Bluetooth would be in my ear. And we would say our prayers before we went to bed every night. Like he'd say one night, I'd say it the next night, and we just prayed for each other and our kids and our parents. And it's almost like the distance was just bringing us closer. But on one particular night, we just started arguing, and I don't even remember what the argument was about. And we just was fussing, and then he hung up the phone, and then I started texting, and we did that till 4 in the morning. And then I went to bed. I slept through it, and the first thought on my mind was him. And so I wanted to call him to say I'm sorry and I love you. Can't wait till you bring your butt back home. Like I just, knew I was gonna be able to do that. And I called him, and I kept calling, and he didn't answer his phone. And that's not like him to not answer my phone calls. And I texted him. He didn't text back. So I went on about my day and took my daughter to the store. And he never returned my call. I'll never forget. His parents did. I was in the dressing room of Kohl's department store, and I got a call from his father, which was weird. And I asked, was your John okay? And he said, no, he's not. John is dead. And I think those words, those words still take my breath away. They changed my life. I never got a chance to say, Smitty, I'm sorry, or to hear him say he was sorry. And that's been hard, to know that the person that you love so much, it ended that way. I've known John for 25 years, and I never thought our chapter would end this way. I mean, you know, when you love somebody, that's the worst way for them to go, is when you're in the middle of an argument and the last thing you said wasn't the last thing that you wanted to say. It's taken a lot of prayer and a lot of time to not be mad at myself or hate myself for, just the way that we ended. I think the one thing that gives me peace is that despite we didn't get to say, neither one of us said I love you that day, that one time, we said it every other day. We showed each other, we loved each other every other day. So those days, I let those days outweigh that one day. As significant as that one day is, I let all those other good days outweigh that one day. And that's the only thing that truly gives me peace, is I know he didn't leave this earth not knowing that I loved him. And he didn't go nowhere not letting me know that he loved me. But, gosh, if you could just go back and change the hands of time, what would you do differently? I missed the opportunity to say just how much I loved him. For what? For an argument that I can't even remember why we were arguing about in the first place. As for my brother, we got into an argument probably 2 or 3 months prior to that, to John passing. And I remember John was hanging out with my brother, and I was mad because I thought, you can't be hanging out with my brother. I'm mad at my brother. And so poor John was in the middle because him and my brother were extremely close. My brother looked at John as like an older brother. And so, I'd hear my brother in the background, talking about me. And then I'd be on the other line fussing about him. And so John was in the middle like, y'all gotta stop this. Like, y'all love each other. But that's what siblings do, And, but prior to John passing, I hadn't talked to my brother. As a matter of fact, he had tried to call me one day, irritating me. That's just what he did. And I kept hanging up the phone on him. Kept hanging up the phone. And that was it. Didn't talk to him. But when John passed away, that day that I got that call, he was there. He came and he crawled in the bed with me and he hugged me up. And he cried with me. And he hugged me so tight. And it was just what I needed. And I remember when I came home from South Carolina, the kids and I came home from laying John to rest. And the first day that I had to myself, I sent the kids to school. I was looking forward to just having the house to myself so I could just cry and just scream, because I'd had people around since John had passed, and I didn't have time to myself to just do that. And so I was like, I couldn't wait to get them kids to school so I could just have the house all to myself. And I'm not kidding. No sooner than I dropped my kids off, my brother called and he was like, "Hey sis," this is like 8 a.m. He's like, "Hey sis, what's up? What you doing?" I said, I'm about to crawl back into bed and put the covers over my head. And he said, "Well, I'll come lay with you." And I said, "No, thank you. I just kind of really want to be by myself." And he was like, "No, I want to come and be with you. Like, I'll come take a nap with you." And he was just so persistent. I was just like, okay, Kareem, okay. So he must have been right down the street or in the driveway, because as soon as I hung the phone up, he just ringing the doorbell. He was like right there. And so he comes upstairs and the room was dark, pitch black. In the morning, I had the curtains closed. I was just ready to just crawl right back into bed and just cry. He kicked his shoes off, took his jacket and stuff off, and he crawled right into bed with me and just hugged me and held me. And we cried and we talked about John, and we just laid there. We laid there in grief together, because he loved John too. And I think us just being together in that moment reminded us how much we loved each other. And so we hugged each other. We kissed each other. We said we loved each other. "I love you, sis. I love you too, bro." He got his coat on, and I remember he stood there. He stood up and he looked at John's funeral program that was sitting on the dresser, and he just broke down. He broke down, and I hugged him up. And I said, "I know." And I said, "I love you." And he said, "I love you too, sis." And that was the last time I hugged and spoke to and kissed my brother while his heart was still beating. The irony in the fact that we're sitting there grieving over John, and little did I know, 2 months later, I'd be grieving over him too. I think somewhere along the way, my angel John played a part in that one, because he knew that if I did not get a chance to say bye to my brother and find peace, I would never have peace. I remember telling John's mom that your son brought me and my brother back together again. His death brought us back together. And as painful as that moment was with my brother that day, oh, it was painful. It was beautiful at the same time. It was a brother and a sister loving each other, and him just being there for me when I needed him the most, no matter what argument we had, whatever that was. Like, I don't even remember what we was arguing about. It didn't matter because he was there when I needed him the most. I said before that death has a way of waking you up. It's kind of the point. It reminds you of how you need to live your life and how you need to love each other. And I'm definitely woke, for sure. Both of these deaths have humbled me beyond words. And so anybody that now I can talk to that is fussing over something small, big to them, but at the end of the day, it's small. Because it's all insignificant stuff. There's nothing bigger than death. There's nothing that trumps that. There's nothing that trumps death. That is it. That's the end. And so the crazy part is I have family. I have two family members that I love to pieces who are at odds with each other. I don't know all the details. It doesn't even matter. But God, it pains me because I think, what if something were to happen to either one of them? Man, the pain that they would feel from the unspoken words that they never got to say to each other. Sometimes we are so angry at someone, but I can promise you there is no anger that you're going to feel more than the anger that you're going to feel at yourself if you don't get to say the things that you wanted to say to somebody that you love. Those unfinished, unspoken words of your heart, just, they talk so loud. They speak so loud. It's deafening. They just keep reminding you of what you didn't get to do and what you didn't get to say. And that's not a way to live. It's not a way that I want to live. And so now I live different. I still get angry and upset at my kids and my loved ones, but I don't stay mad long no more. I wish I had John around. If I could take back all those moments that I was pissed off and made him sleep on the couch, or that we was fussing with each other and didn't say I love you before we went to sleep, I would do anything to have those moments back. Anything. Because at the end of the day, that was just time lost. I don't even remember what we argued about at the times that we did argue. And we didn't argue much. But even just a little bit was too much. Because it took time away from me loving him. From us loving each other. And I can't get that time back. And so my advice, my aha moment for anybody is, say the things you need to say today. Love somebody today. If you knew that your loved one was not going to wake up tomorrow, How would you treat him today? Would whatever you're fussing about even matter? I think if we start to treat people that way, with that in mind, life would just be so much better, and we would love people so much more. I don't know who my words are meant for, but I know that God kept pushing me to make sure that I said them, because I would hate for anybody to have to live with some of the pain that I'm always going to have. Every now and again, the devil will try to just dig at me, to just remind me, you guys were arguing before he passed. You never got to, And like I said, I told you what gives me the peace. But every blue moon, it'll pop back up, because grief just has a way of doing that to you. And so does the devil. To just remind you and just try to beat you up. But why put yourself through that if you can just love people more today, so that you don't have to worry about what sorry that you didn't get to say, or what I love you that you didn't get to say because you said it already.